Guess who's back in the house? I hope that you guys are having a lovely day. I wanted to talk about the Malik Yoba interview and like the aftermath and the conversations that have come about after the interview. Yesterday, I was speaking to a friend who I've known for over 20 years, and he's black, gay, and a lawyer. And we, in the past, have had a number of conversations about the trans community. And so yesterday, he actually asked me, why are you so passionate about trans rights? And my question to him was, why aren't you passionate about trans rights? And two things that I wanted to talk about as to why I'm passionate about trans rights. Two names in history: Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. They were at the Stonewall riots in 1969 and were some of the people who were at the riots who actually fought back against the police and started to riot over police brutality over people in the LGBTQ plus community. So without Marsha and Sylvia, especially gay men, we would not have the rights that we have today. That's one reason why I'm passionate about trans rights. Two, when we communicate with each other, when we create forms of dialogue, we learn so much about the human experience. And so during the Breakfast Club interview, there was one individual whose name is David Johns, who he is the executive director of the National Black Justice Coalition. And I can't remember if it was him or Nyla Simone Toussaint who actually talked about the march that's happening in DC, which is the National Trans Visibility March, which will take place Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Oh, hello. Hello, I am. I will include closed captions at the end of this interview. Um, I don't even know how to do it on a live interview. Someone commented that they have a hearing disability. If anyone knows how to include closed captionings on a live video, let me know. I will definitely do that. Um, and so the purpose of the National Trans Visibility March is for equal rights and inclusion and to demand justice for murdered transgender people, and also to include trans people on the US Census. I actually did not know that there was not a section for transgender people on the US Census. And that's really important because we can actually get a more accurate snapshot of the number of transgender people who are from who are transgender in the states. And I actually thought that the march was about Title VII and about people who are transgender, if they can be legally fired for being trans. And so there is a particular case that the Supreme Court justices are going to hear. It's concerning Amy Stevens, who was a funeral director, I believe in Baltimore. And she told her job that she was born in the wrong body and she was going to transition from male to female. Her job decided to fire her after being employed for 6 years. And so that's just one of the cases that's being decided upon on October 8th. There are two more cases that are actually going to be heard that day. One of the cases is for a skydiving instructor who he would jump from planes in tandem with clients. And he had a number of female clients who were uncomfortable with a male actually taking them out for this jump. And tandem is when you jump from a plane with a person holding on to you. And they're the ones, the instructor's the one who releases the parachute when you jump from a plane, when you go skydiving. And so this particular instructor, in order to make the female clients feel more comfortable with him, he would tell them that he was gay. And so on one particular jump, he disclosed his sexuality to this female client. After the jump, she reported that he touched her in a sexual manner. Because of that, he was fired. He denied it. He also stated that he is not sexually interested in women, and it was a lie. He was still fired. So he was fired for being gay. So, to my friend's point, my friend who said, "Why are you so passionate about trans rights?" is because our rights are connected. We are part of the same community. When we fight together, we have strength. So, for gay men who are out there who aren't supporting trans women, you could potentially lose your rights as well, because the Supreme Court will be deciding not only is it just to be fired from your job for being transgender, but also for being gay or lesbian or bisexual. So you, and the reason why I say that is that during the Breakfast Club interview, in the comment section of the YouTube video, there were a lot of gay men who were leaving these very hateful comments towards trans women. One guy in particular, he said that he was a gay man, but he was a cross dresser. Therefore, he likes to wear women's clothing, but he has no intentions of transitioning. Um, and he said that he believed that Malik Yoba was a gay man who was still in the closet. So by him saying that, one, he is saying that he sees trans women as men. Malik Yoba is a gay man because he is having romantic relationships with trans women. That is inaccurate. I will say this: as long as I have breath in my body, trans women are women. Trans men are men. You don't have the right to decide who is a woman and who is a man. I really don't understand. I feel as if that there are a lot of gay men who actually are transphobic because they really don't understand the trans experience. And one thing that we can do as gay men to help the transgender community is to not question their experience, to not question their existence. G Sun, hi G Sun. Thanks for watching. Um, I really appreciate your comment. Um, we just have to stop questioning their existence. And I say that because for a lot of gay men, our existence has been questioned by our loved ones, our parents, our friends, our coworkers often question the existence of gay men, and gay men are often attacked for how they identify and who they love and how they express themselves. And so I just don't understand if you can see that within yourself, that your existence has been questioned, how can you not see that for a person who is trans? Um, I also wanted to talk about for black heterosexuals who were really questioning trans identity. I say this, that there have been countless people at the forefront of the black civil rights movement who are queer. Two people who were the founders of Black Lives Matters are queer, they're lesbians. For the March on Washington that really defined the civil rights movement for black people with MLK Jr. was organized by a gay black man. And so I say that to say this, that black people are always fighting to get to Wakanda, and they're fighting to get to this black heaven, but fail to realize that there are queer people in the movement. We are here. So when you say Black Lives Matter, it is not just black straight lives that matter. It is all black lives that matter. In the news, and it's like every single day I read about trans women of color who are being murdered. And one of the things that my friend said in the conversation, he said that, there isn't an epidemic of trans people who are being murdered. He said that it's only 18. And I told him that it is actually impossible to know how many trans people are murdered because they're often misgendered in the media or by their parents. An example is, I believe it was the Odessa, Texas shooting. It was the white male who lost his job, and because he lost his job, he went on a mass shooting spree. One of the first people that he killed was a sibling of his. And the media immediately reported that the sibling was female. It later came out that the sibling was actually a trans male. So it is really impossible to know how many trans people are murdered because they're often misgendered. And so gay men, wake up. We are in the same fight. And one thing that I want to do to advance the conversation, remove gender from the conversation. Let's just remove it. So if we're not looking at gender anymore, we're talking about human beings. And human beings are being senselessly and mercilessly murdered because of who they are. So at the end of the day, I want you to remember that this person who you don't understand who they are the same as you. When they are cut, they bleed. I didn't want to see it, but there was a video of a trans woman. Somehow she was in uh, um, like a car accident, and when the other driver came to her window to talk to her, that person discovered that she was trans, and because of that, he started beating her and almost killed her. And there were people who were in the immediate surrounding area who were like, she's a man, she deserves it. You should attack her. And it's so heartbreaking that in an unrelated case, that woman was actually murdered, like I think a month later for being trans. And so, no matter what you think about people who are trans, remember that these are human beings. These are our neighbors. They're our brothers, our sisters, our cousins. They're people who we see on the street and don't might not even know that they're trans, but because they're so stealth, they are just able to pass in society. One of your neighbors that you don't know could be trans because you just don't know. There are amazing surgeons in this world who are doing beautiful things and really helping people to pass and live. Um, there are some trans people who actually decide not to come out because of safety reasons, and I don't blame them. But for trans people who actually are not coming out as trans, come out. Your sisters and brothers are being murdered at alarming rates. People aren't understanding their experience. You can help your sisters and brothers by telling your story. I think it's easier for gays and lesbians today because of how visible our queer ancestors were in the past. It has always been trans women. It has always been more feminine men. It has always been butch lesbians who they couldn't hide who they were. And so they were forced to fight. They were forced to mobilize. They were forced to say, I'm not going to take this. Because of them, we have the rights that we have today. And so please wake up, gay men. Please wake up and protect our trans brothers and sisters because these straight people are not here for them. And I actually went on Twitter. I was looking for David John's Twitter account to see if he actually made a comment about um, how when doctors assign genders at birth is not natural. Because I think he kind of like confused that statement. Well, not confused it, but he basically left off part of the statement. And so, unfortunately, he didn't um, address that comment on his Twitter account. But I was looking at comments of he made a post about the actual Breakfast Club interview, and there was a black woman on there, and she was stating that if you are born with a vagina, that makes you a woman and nothing else. And so there was actually another woman who made a comment that she was born with the uterus. She developed breasts very early, but her uterus is actually underdeveloped and she can't have a child. And so she set off based off of the definition of the woman that she said that, you have to have a vagina and give birth to a child and bleed every day. If you're not pregnant, that makes you a woman. And so this other woman said that I can't have a child. Does that make me not a woman? And so the original commenter, who she had like over like 900 thumbs up for that comment, which was very odd to me. She said, I don't care. And I I don't even have the words to say just how ignorant that response to I don't care. Um, it's just there are so many there okay, don't get me wrong. Everyone who was straight who watched the Breakfast Club interview, um, they weren't offended by what was stated. There were actually some people who said that I appreciate this conversation and I have learned something from it. But there has been so much hate that has been spreading across the internet, and so I actually don't think that Malik Yoba's interview helped the trans community. I think it hurt the trans community. My friend also stated that it's difficult to put race and gender identity in the same conversation because they're so different. And I told him that Trump has used so much racist language against brown people that one of the shootings, mass shootings that just happened in El Paso, Texas, a guy, I think he drove like 10 hours to shoot people that he thought was Mexican. And he basically referenced President Trump and he said that there is an invasion that's happening. And so I told him that it's language where people say that trans women are men, that leads to trans deaths. So if anyone who's watching this video, please be mindful of your words, especially black people. Black people, we weren't viewed as humans not that long ago. We were viewed as property. Not too long ago, we didn't have the right to vote. Slave owners used the Bible to basically state that they were just for owning property, for owning black people. That was not that long ago. Words matter. Words are important. So please use your words carefully. And I'm going to end this video by saying, do you want to be on the right side of history on this debate? Do you want to look foolish to your grandchildren or your children? What I love about younger people is that they get gender identity. I have taught writing workshops to people as young as 11, and they have come out as transgender to their family. And for a lot of younger people, like they if someone comes out as trans, it's nothing to them. It's like, okay, let's move on. And so I am so glad that it is the younger people who will be able to erase transphobia. But I hope that I get to see a society that is less transphobic in my lifetime. So, thank you all for watching the live. Um, I want to continue having this conversation. I'll be making more videos about my thoughts surrounding the trans experience and trans existence. And please continue to watch. If you haven't already, subscribe, like, and share this video. And until next time, I will see you later. Besos.